Elon Musk sat in his dimly lit office at Tesla headquarters, the glow from his multiple monitors casting eerie blue reflections across the polished surfaces. His fingers rested lightly on the keyboard, eyes scanning the cascading lines of code in front of him. The room was silent, except for the faint hum of the air conditioning and the rhythmic tapping of his fingers against the desk. It was nearly 2 a.m., but for him, the night was still young. A cold cup of coffee sat next to his keyboard, untouched for hours, and beside it, a Tesla Cybertruck prototype model, a constant reminder of what he was building for the future. Beyond the glass walls of his office, the Tesla Gigafactory was still alive. Robotic arms moved with mechanical precision, assembling vehicles with a quiet efficiency that had become synonymous with his company. Engineers worked on their projects, their voices a low murmur in the background. To the outside world, it was just another night at Tesla. But inside this office, something unusual was happening. Elon's eyes narrowed slightly as a new alert flashed on his screen. A single unauthorized access attempt, then another, and another. His security system had flagged it immediately, isolating the breach. But what intrigued him wasn't just the attempt itself. It was the method. It wasn't brute force. It was subtle, methodical, calculated, the kind of attack that came from professionals. He leaned back in his chair, tapping his fingers against the armrest, his mind already racing through possibilities. He had anticipated this for months. SpaceX had always been a target. Governments, competitors, and underground hacker groups all wanted access to his technology. Starship blueprints, Raptor engine designs, classified Mars colonization plans, information worth billions. Some wanted it for power, others for money, and some simply to prove they could do it. But none had ever succeeded. Tonight, though, they were trying again, and he was watching. His lips curled into a slight smirk. He wasn't just going to stop them. He was going to let them think they had won, just long enough to track them back to their source. His fingers moved over the keyboard with practiced precision, activating a hidden security protocol buried deep within the system, one so advanced that even some of the best cybersecurity experts at SpaceX weren't aware of it. The screen shifted, showing a visualization of the attack. It looked like a spider's web, each access point lighting up as the hackers moved deeper. They were good, but Musk had built his defense system not just to react, but to predict. His phone buzzed. A message from SpaceX's head of cybersecurity. "Sir, we've detected an intrusion attempt on the propulsion system archives, locking it down now." He typed back quickly. "Hold off, let them dig a little deeper." A pause, then another reply. "Understood. Monitoring." Elon leaned forward again, watching the real-time data. The hackers were moving efficiently, breaching layers of security at a speed that would have alarmed most CEOs. But not him. His mind worked like a chess player analyzing the board. These weren't amateurs. They were disciplined, precise. He pictured them, sitting in a dark room somewhere, fingers flying across keyboards, thinking they were invisible, thinking they were untouchable. He allowed himself a quiet chuckle. They had no idea they had just walked into a trap. Outside his office, Tesla's operations continued as usual. Autonomous robots moved silently across the floor. Engineers reviewed design schematics. The future was being built, one piece at a time. And inside this office, the man building that future was preparing to strike. Inside an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Berlin, the air was thick with the acrid scent of cigarette smoke and stale coffee. Rows of high-end computer monitors flickered in the dim lighting, casting eerie green and blue glows across the room. Loose cables snaked across the floor like mechanical veins, connecting a chaotic mess of hacking equipment. The hum of cooling fans and the soft clatter of keystrokes filled the space. This was the headquarters of Black Nebula, one of the most elusive cybercriminal groups in the world. Spectre stood at the center, his presence commanding, despite the flickering overhead lights that barely illuminated his sharp features. Mid-40s, ex-intelligence operative turned cybercriminal. His leather jacket hung loosely over a muscular frame, his 5 o'clock shadow giving him a rugged, hardened look. A scar traced from his temple to his jawline, a silent reminder of a past mission gone wrong. His eyes were locked on the screen in front of him, where the digital walls of SpaceX's cybersecurity defenses were being dismantled layer by layer. Across the room, Glitch, the youngest of the group, hunched over his keyboard, fingers moving with a speed that seemed almost inhuman. His hoodie was pulled up over his head, oversized headphones blasting a heavy bass track as he worked. His eyes flickered between multiple monitors, tracking firewalls, data packets, and encryption patterns in real time. He had cracked systems belonging to banks, corporations, even government agencies before, but this, SpaceX, was different, a true challenge. Nova, the team's strategist, sat on the opposite side, a cigarette dangling from her lips as she chewed gum absently, her piercing green eyes scanning lines of code faster than the human eye should be able to process. She leaned back in her chair, cracking her knuckles before typing with the precision of a machine. She wasn't just fast. She was efficient. Her mind worked like a chess grandmaster, predicting moves before they happened. "We're past the first layer," she muttered, not looking away from the screen. "Firewall breached." Spectre took a slow, calculated drag from his cigarette, watching as the data flow opened before them like a digital vault being pried apart. "Download everything, now," he whispered, his voice carrying the weight of authority. Glitch smirked, his fingers flying over the keyboard. "Already on it," he said, his voice barely audible over the sound of his clicking keys. The screens before them filled with cascading files, folders labeled with cryptic code names, encrypted messages, and complex engineering diagrams. Nova's breath caught slightly as she identified one in particular, Starship propulsion blueprints. "Jackpot," she muttered under her breath. Spectre's eyes gleamed as he took another slow drag of his cigarette. "I want every piece of that propulsion data. The fuel systems, the structural integrity reports, the heat shield calculations. Everything." Nova hesitated for a split second, her mind flashing to the price this kind of data could fetch on the dark web. Governments, competitors, even rogue space agencies would pay fortunes for this kind of classified research. A leak of SpaceX's Mars colonization plans could shift global power structures overnight. Glitch's screen flickered. A small red timer appeared in the corner. 00:257. He frowned, removing his headphones. Something's not right." Nova's fingers froze over the keyboard. "What?" Spectre leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "What do you mean, something's not right?" Glitch tapped his monitor. "This counter! That's not ours!" Nova quickly examined the code. "That's not a security lockout, it's, Her voice trailed off as realization hit. Spectre's jaw tightened. "It's a tracker." The warehouse suddenly felt colder. A silent tension fell over the group, their eyes glued to the timer, ticking down second by second. Then another message flashed on their screens. "You are being watched." The words appeared slowly, one letter at a time, as if Elon Musk himself was typing them in real time. Nova's fingers trembled slightly. Glitch's face went pale. Spectre's cigarette smoldered in his fingers, forgotten. Then, below the message, a final line appeared. "Enjoy your last few minutes of freedom." The warehouse was no longer just a hacker's den, it was a crime scene in the making. Elon Musk leaned back in his chair, fingers interlaced, eyes locked on the cascading lines of code unraveling in real time across his ultra-wide monitor. His office was bathed in the soft glow of blue-hued screens, the only sound the rhythmic tapping of keys and the occasional hum of Tesla's gigafactory running in the distance. The air was thick with quiet tension, but Musk himself? Completely unfazed. A notification blinked in the corner of his screen. Unauthorized data extraction in progress. He smirked. This was the moment he had been waiting for. Casually, he picked up his long-forgotten cup of coffee, now ice-cold, and took a slow sip. The bitterness barely registered. His fingers moved with deliberate precision over the keyboard, entering a command that activated X-Defender, his AI-driven countermeasure. Unlike standard cybersecurity defenses, this wasn't just a firewall. It was a hunter. As soon as the hackers had forced their way through SpaceX's outer security shell, X-Defender had already set its trap. Musk had spent months perfecting it, anticipating the exact kind of cyber attack that was unfolding before him. These intruders had no idea they had walked straight into a digital minefield. A new window popped open on his screen, displaying a live feed of what the hackers were seeing on their end. Blueprints, schematics, confidential propulsion data, all seemingly real. But in reality, every single file was laced with something far more dangerous: misinformation embedded with a tracking worm. Musk tilted his head slightly, watching as the data was siphoned off. The fake files had been carefully engineered to be irresistible. Blueprints for a next-generation starship with an anti-gravity drive? Check. A supposed propulsion system that could reach Mars in 2 weeks? Check. A secret project involving a wormhole generator? Absolutely. He even threw in an absurd file labeled Tesla Mars Theme Park, Confidential, just for fun. Across the globe, in the dimly lit Berlin warehouse, Spectre, Nova, and Glitch were devouring the stolen files like ravenous wolves. They had no idea that while they were busy celebrating their victory, Musk's system was burrowing into their own. X-Defender began peeling away their proxies layer by layer. Every IP bounce they had meticulously crafted, tracked. Every encrypted channel they thought was secure, unraveled. The AI worked at an inhuman speed, tracing their location down to a single point on the map. Berlin. Musk's smirk widened. He had them. He took another slow sip of his coffee, exhaling softly before muttering to himself, "Too easy." His mind flashed back to the months he had spent preparing for this. He knew SpaceX was a high-value target. Competitors, rogue nations, even black-market cybercriminals had been attempting to breach their defenses for years. Musk had anticipated every move, designed every contingency. The arrogance of these hackers amused him. They truly believed they had outsmarted one of the most advanced tech infrastructures on the planet. Musk leaned forward and typed a single command: "Execute countermeasure." The screen flickered. X-Defender moved to Phase 2. The hacker's system began to lock up. Musk knew the moment the realization would hit them. Right now, thousands of miles away, their celebration would be cut short. Their excitement would turn into dread as their screens flickered with the first signs of Musk's retaliation. He imagined it vividly. Spectre's smug expression turning into a scowl. Glitch's frantic typing. Nova's icy composure breaking just slightly. And then, the final message appeared on their screens, the one Musk had been waiting to send. "You are being watched." He drummed his fingers against his desk, watching it unfold in real time. Their system was failing. Their deception was shattered. Their time was running out. With a satisfied nod, Musk reached for his phone and sent a text to his security team. "We've got them. Ready the authorities." The dimly lit warehouse in Berlin was no longer filled with triumphant whispers and the rhythmic clicking of keyboards. Instead, there was an eerie silence, punctuated only by the frantic keystrokes of Glitch and the slow, deliberate breathing of Spectre as he processed what had just appeared on his screen. "You are being watched." The text flickered ominously in bold red letters, as if it were alive, taunting them, toying with their confidence. Sweat trickled down Spectre's forehead. His jaw clenched as his fingers hovered over the keyboard, muscles tensed like a predator sensing it had just become the prey. He reached for his backup laptop, his movements sharp but slightly unsteady. He had spent years evading detection, carefully covering every digital footprint he left behind. This wasn't possible. Nova, sitting to his left, had stopped typing altogether. She had always prided herself on keeping a cool head, but now, for the first time in years, she felt something foreign crawling up her spine. Dread. Her green eyes darted across the screen, analyzing the situation like a battlefield strategist. The message, simple, direct, and deliberate, wasn't just an automated alert. No, it had been placed there. Someone wanted them to see it. Someone who knew they were watching. Someone who had planned for this exact moment. "Glitch! Shut it down!" Spectre snapped, his voice sharp, laced with an edge of urgency. "I'm trying!" Glitch's voice was higher than usual, his fingers dancing wildly across the keyboard. It's not responding. The system's locking up, shutting us out." Spectre's blood ran cold as more words began to appear on the screen, one letter at a time. "You thought you were in control." The words typed themselves at a tauntingly slow pace, as if the unseen force on the other end was taking its time, savoring their fear. "But this is my domain." Spectre slammed his fist onto the desk. "Kill the connection! Kill it now!" Glitch yanked a cable from the router, sending sparks flying. The main monitor went black for a brief second before it flickered back to life. The SpaceX logo slowly materialized onto the screen, its stark white lettering burning into their retinas like a final warning. Nova's fingers curled into fists. She had read stories about Musk's cyber defenses, rumors whispered in underground hacker forums about AI systems that could track, trace, and dismantle intruders in real time. But this was personal. Her gaze flicked to Spectre, who sat frozen, his pupils blown wide, his hands gripping the edges of the desk. And then the final blow arrived. The message continued to type itself, one deliberate keystroke at a time, like a judge delivering the last words of a death sentence. "Enjoy your last few minutes of freedom." A chill settled in the room. The realization sank in. They weren't getting out of this. Elon Musk sat back in his chair, the glow of multiple monitors casting sharp shadows across his face. His fingers hovered over his keyboard for a brief moment before he tapped a single key. Silent, controlled, deliberate. His smirk deepened as he watched the panic unfold on the other end. "We've got them," he muttered under his breath, tapping his desk lightly with his fingers in a rhythmic motion, like a conductor leading an orchestra. Except tonight, the symphony was chaos, and the hackers were playing right into his hands. Without breaking his gaze from the screens, Musk reached for his phone and pressed a contact labeled Security Priority 1. The line connected instantly. "Initiate retrieval protocol. Send the coordinates to FBI Cybercrimes and Interpol. We have a breach, and I want it cleaned up." The response was immediate. "Copy that, sir. Engaging now." The camera feed on his monitor switched from his own security network to a live satellite view, a top-down perspective of Berlin's industrial district. A small red marker pulsed over the exact location of the Black Nebula hideout. Cut to FBI Cybercrimes Division, Washington, D.C. The command center was a hive of controlled energy. Screens flashed with real-time intel as Special Agent Calloway, a seasoned cybercrime specialist, leaned over his desk, watching the unfolding events. The live coordinates pinged onto their servers, straight from SpaceX's internal security system. Jesus, Calloway muttered, rubbing his temple. Musk wasn't kidding. This isn't just a hack. It's a full-scale corporate infiltration. Interpol is already en route, his assistant reported. German authorities are assembling a tactical response unit. We have a 10-minute window before they move in. Calloway grabbed his earpiece and switched to a direct line with the field team. Eyes on the target. No one leaves that building. I want Spectre in cuffs before sunrise. Cut 2. Interpol Tactical Unit, Berlin. A convoy of unmarked black SUVs roared through the darkened streets of Berlin, weaving through the industrial district at high speed. Inside the lead vehicle, Commander Richter double-checked his sidearm before addressing his team. We have confirmation that our targets are inside. No unnecessary force unless provoked. These aren't just cybercriminals. They're high-risk operatives with intelligence backgrounds. Expect resistance. As the vehicles screeched to a halt a few blocks from the target, snipers took position on the rooftops, while breach teams assembled near the warehouse entrance. The countdown began. Back at Tesla HQ, Musk watches the trap close. Elon Musk leaned forward, his elbows resting on his desk, his eyes locked on the satellite feed. The warehouse was now surrounded. There was nowhere left to run. He knew Spectre and his team were scrambling, desperately trying to escape a net that had been closing around them since the moment they touched his network. With a satisfied exhale, Musk finally took a sip of his now completely cold coffee. It tasted like victory. The air inside the Berlin warehouse was thick with fear, sweat, and the mechanical hum of high-performance servers. Flashing error messages danced across the hackers' screens like digital warnings of their imminent doom. Spectre's fingers clenched into fists. The seasoned cybercriminal had faced many high-stakes operations before, but this was different. This wasn't just a routine data theft gone wrong. This was a trap, meticulously designed by a man who was always 5 steps ahead. "Shut it down! Shut everything down!" Spectre barked, his voice raw with urgency. Nova's fingers blurred across the keyboard. She had seconds to burn everything before they were exposed. "Too late!" Glitch gasped, eyes darting frantically between screens, his pale face illuminated by the ominous SpaceX logo that now glowed defiantly across their monitors. The words, "You are being watched," blinked slowly, deliberately. Spectre's blood ran cold. The Berlin skyline glowed in the distance, its neon lights contrasting against the industrial district's cold concrete structures. Parked a block away, a convoy of unmarked black SUVs waited, engines running. Inside, FBI cybercrime specialists and Interpol tactical agents monitored their screens. A satellite feed, fed directly from SpaceX's AI, showed the warehouse's blueprints. Final confirmation received from Musk, one agent reported into his earpiece. Target location locked. Green light. The commander's voice cut through the radio static. "Go! Go! Go!" The night exploded into chaos. A deafening boom rocked the building as the warehouse's reinforced front door blew inward, sending sparks and debris flying. Smoke grenades hissed, filling the room with thick white fog. "They're here!" Nova shrieked, scrambling from her chair. Spectre was already moving. His instincts screamed at him to run, to escape, to survive. He shoved over a metal shelf, monitors crashing to the floor as he sprinted toward the emergency exit. His heart pounded. Every second mattered. He reached for the back door handle, cold metal under his fingers, only to be met with a brutal thud. Spectre's body slammed backward, tackled mid-stride by 2 heavily armored Interpol agents. His breath left him in a painful grunt. Target secured. Boots stomped through the warehouse. Glitch, barely past his 20s, was frozen in fear, his arms wrapped protectively over his head as 2 agents loomed over him. "Don't shoot! Don't shoot!" he whimpered, his voice cracking. Nova, cornered, raised both hands in surrender, her sharp green eyes scanning the wreckage of their so-called impenetrable hideout. They had underestimated Elon Musk. The warehouse's largest monitor flickered to life. A single image appeared. Elon Musk, seated at his desk, casually sipping what was now a cold coffee. His expression? Amused. "Did you really think I wouldn't be watching?" His voice was calm, unshaken. Not triumphant, not mocking, just an absolute certainty that this outcome was inevitable. Spectre, pinned to the floor, breath ragged, gritted his teeth. "You think you've won?" he growled. Musk tilted his head slightly. A flicker of a smirk touched his lips. "No," he replied smoothly. "I won the moment you logged in." The screen flickered once, then shut off, and with that, Black Nebula was erased. Begun a deeper investigation, tracing not just Black Nebula's activities, but their clients, the organizations and individuals who had financed their efforts. This wasn't over. It wasn't enough to stop an attack. It was time to ensure it never happened again. Musk leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temple for a brief moment before reaching for his now lukewarm coffee. He took a sip, grimacing slightly at the taste, but drinking it anyway. "Let's see who else was watching," he murmured to himself. The war for innovation was never ending, but as long as Elon Musk was watching, it was a war he intended to win. Elon Musk stood silently in a dimly lit conference room deep within SpaceX's secure facility. His white dress shirt was wrinkled, sleeves rolled up to the elbows, the loosened tie hanging askew, a testament to the restless hours he'd spent without sleep. Dark circles shadowed eyes that, despite exhaustion, retained a sharp and piercing intensity. Around him, a select group of senior cybersecurity analysts sat rigidly, their faces illuminated by the cold glow of a holographic display at the center of the room. The room was steeped in tension, the silence punctuated only by the soft hum of computers and the faint whisper of circulating air. "Bring up the visualization," Musk commanded, his voice calm yet tinged with unease. Immediately, the central AI system responded. A complex 3D network map blossomed into existence above the conference table, an intricate web of glowing nodes interconnected by countless delicate threads. Each node represented individuals, organizations, servers, or countries, collectively portraying a disturbingly vast network. Elon's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening subtly as he studied the AI-generated map. The nodes pulsed softly, showing real-time data flow, financial transactions, encrypted messages, hacked communications, all converging to central points that appeared in red. The visualization revealed a hidden, interconnected underworld stretching across continents, seamlessly blending legitimate businesses with shadowy operations. "Who are they?" Musk asked quietly, directing the question to the head of cybersecurity. The analyst cleared her throat, her fingers lightly touching the control pad to isolate specific nodes. "That's precisely our problem, sir. This entity doesn't officially exist. No intelligence database, no public records. They're fully operational and deeply embedded, controlling significant digital infrastructures globally." Elon leaned forward slightly, his hands pressing flat against the table surface as he studied the largest central node pulsating ominously. "You're saying we've uncovered an entirely new threat? One that's been right under our noses?" "Yes," the analyst confirmed gravely. "The hackers we captured, Black Nebula, were just the surface. They were funded and directed by this larger entity. We've tracked their encrypted payments through multiple offshore accounts, all converging here." Musk's expression hardened further, realizing the implications were far graver than initially anticipated. His exhaustion momentarily vanished, replaced by a renewed sense of urgency and concern. This wasn't merely corporate espionage or random cybercriminal activity. This was an orchestrated global operation, possibly supported by powerful entities intent on derailing his vision. "How extensive is their reach?" he asked, eyes never leaving the network visualization. The AI recalibrated, zooming out further, showing more nodes lighting up across every continent, densely packed in major cities, strategic financial hubs, and political epicenters. Musk's chest tightened slightly as he absorbed the scale of the threat, realizing that the invisible enemy had already infiltrated critical infrastructures, including governmental and private sectors worldwide. "Sir," another analyst interjected, her voice barely above a whisper, "they've already infiltrated aerospace, financial, and even defense sectors. We're seeing traces of activity within key allied governments." Elon straightened slowly, absorbing the chilling revelation. His mind raced, analyzing the implications, calculating strategic responses. The stakes had escalated dramatically, beyond his companies, beyond the hacking incident. It had become clear he was now facing adversaries capable of reshaping global dynamics. He exhaled slowly, regaining composure before speaking with quiet resolve. "Double our cybersecurity resources immediately. I want every possible scenario modeled and countermeasures ready." "Understood, sir," the analysts responded in near unison. Musk turned sharply toward the door, pausing briefly as he glanced back at the pulsing red node at the network's heart. A single question echoed in his mind, intensifying the gravity of the moment. Who or what was behind it all? Inside the expansive SpaceX Cybersecurity Operations Center, the air hummed with focused intensity. Rows of advanced computer terminals lined the sleek, futuristic room, their displays flickering rapidly as streams of data poured through sophisticated algorithms. Engineers in crisp SpaceX uniforms moved swiftly and purposefully, exchanging brief yet precise communications, each action seamlessly coordinated. Elon Musk stood at the heart of the room, his white shirt sleeves rolled up to his elbows, his tie loosened and hanging slightly askew, a subtle sign of prolonged stress and exhaustion. His eyes were sharp, but shadowed with frustration, betraying his rising impatience. Every second mattered, and each delay tightened the coil of tension inside him. A young engineer, her fingers dancing deftly across a keyboard, glanced up at a massive central display. "Sir, the AI just detected another intrusion. Someone's actively attempting to purge the evidence from our servers." Musk's jaw tightened visibly as he stepped closer, eyes locked onto the main monitor. "Identify and isolate. Now." Instantly, the central screen came alive with intricate visualizations, a sprawling, dynamic 3D model of encrypted data flows marked with pulsing red nodes signaling the ongoing attack. The room grew noticeably quieter, the silence punctuated only by rapid typing and occasional status updates whispered sharply between team members. "They're using quantum encryption," an older engineer, a veteran of cybersecurity operations, reported from a nearby console. "Standard decoding methods won't cut it." "Then we move to quantum decryption," Musk responded without hesitation. "Activate the quantum decoding matrix immediately." The team sprang into action, accessing an advanced, heavily secured platform within their system. A new display unfolded, a sophisticated, rotating hologram visualizing quantum bits, qubits, rearranging in real time. Streams of encrypted data flowed into the matrix, each fragment illuminated as the quantum system began meticulously reconstructing original patterns. Musk watched intently, tension radiating from every muscle. His mind raced, calculating the implications. Whoever was behind this had anticipated standard defensive measures. Their sophistications suggested resources far beyond ordinary cybercriminal groups. "Progress?" Musk asked, barely concealing his impatience. 50% decoded. the senior engineer replied, eyes never leaving his screen. But they're counteracting rapidly. We have minutes, maybe less. On the central display, another red node burst into life, growing brighter, almost violently so, as it attacked the quantum decoder directly. They're attacking the decoder itself, the young engineer exclaimed, a tremor of urgency in her voice. We're losing the signal. Deploy the AI countermeasures. Full containment, Musk commanded sharply. Instantly, SpaceX's proprietary AI responded, generating a powerful virtual shield around the quantum decoder. Digital attacks ricocheted off the shield, each impact sending ripples through the visualization. 80%! Another technician shouted, leaning forward as tension mounted. Almost there. Musk's fists clenched at his sides, eyes fixed on the decryption percentage ticking higher. The red node intensified, launching one final, desperate assault. Hold it, Musk barked, stepping forward instinctively, as if physically shielding the digital construct. Maintain integrity. The engineers typed furiously, sweat visibly forming on their foreheads as the quantum matrix fought against the onslaught. Numbers ticked up painfully slowly. 85%, 90%, 95%, until finally, a notification flashed. Decryption complete. An audible sigh of relief swept through the room. Musk exhaled sharply, eyes blazing with renewed determination. The massive central screen rearranged itself, now clearly showing connections previously hidden, links between the hacker, Black Nebula, and the mysterious global organization lurking behind them. Musk's voice was low, calm, and decisive as he broke the tense silence. Now we find out who they really are, and why they came after us. Elon Musk stood silently in the observation room, arms crossed, his white shirt slightly wrinkled, tie loosened from hours of exhaustion. Dark circles beneath his sharp, focused eyes revealed a night of relentless investigation. On the other side of a one-way mirror lay the interrogation room, a cold, claustrophobic space with stark concrete walls painted in industrial gray, devoid of windows or warmth. The harsh white fluorescent light overhead illuminated Glitch's face, casting unsettling shadows beneath his eyes, which were bloodshot and weary from stress and sleep deprivation. At the center of the room sat Glitch, hunched in his chair, visibly trembling in his disheveled hoodie, his fingers nervously tapping against the metal table. Directly opposite was Agent Richards, a seasoned interrogator wearing a neatly pressed black shirt and dark trousers. Richards' demeanor was calm, almost clinical, his voice deliberately soft yet firm, every word designed to heighten psychological pressure without losing professional restraint. "Let's go over this again," Richards said slowly, leaning slightly forward. "You were hired by a group much larger and more dangerous than Black Nebula, weren't you?" Glitch swallowed hard, his breathing rapid and shallow. "I told you, I don't know who they are. They never showed themselves." "But you do know more," Richards pressed softly, tapping his finger gently on the table, a rhythm meant to unsettle. "You breached SpaceX's most sensitive files. Your actions suggest you had high-level access. Someone powerful gave you that access." Elon watched carefully from the observation screen. Internally, he struggled with a moral conflict. He understood that Glitch was young, vulnerable, perhaps misled, but the information they needed was too critical. Musk felt uneasy about pushing him further, yet the stakes were far too high. The security of his entire company and potentially global stability hung in the balance. Richards continued, unfazed by Glitch's discomfort. "We have reason to believe you're withholding information that could save lives. Tell me, who is behind all this?" Glitch's eyes darted frantically around the room, sweat dripping steadily from his forehead onto the cold table surface. He opened his mouth to speak, the tension visible in every line of his face. His voice trembled, breaking slightly. They called themselves... Suddenly, a low vibration startled him. He reached into his hoodie pocket, pulling out his phone. His eyes widened in horror at the message displayed on the screen, a short, cryptic line of text, "Silence is survival." Richards noticed the sudden shift, leaning forward aggressively. "What does it say?" "Give me the phone." But Glitch recoiled instinctively, gripping the device as if his life depended on it. His face drained of color, fear replacing any remaining composure. He shook his head rapidly, pressing his lips together in stubborn silence. Elon narrowed his eyes at the sudden shift. On a nearby monitor, advanced digital polygraph equipment relayed real-time biometric data, including brainwave patterns, heart rate, and temperature. A spike on the graph indicated extreme distress the moment Glitch received the message. It was unmistakable. Whoever had sent that text wielded power terrifying enough to overshadow the intense pressure of the interrogation. "He's terrified," Elon murmured quietly to a technician standing beside him, both watching the data. "More terrified of them than us." The technician nodded gravely, eyes glued to the biometric display. "He knows something critical. We need another way in." Elon took a slow breath, running a tired hand through his hair, contemplating the next move carefully. Richards stood up in the interrogation room, his eyes fixed on Glitch with a mix of frustration and grudging respect for the hacker's resilience. "We'll continue this later," Richards said coldly, stepping away from the table. "Consider carefully whose side you want to be on when this is all over." Glitch slumped in his chair as Richards left the room, visibly shaking from the psychological toll of the interrogation. Elon stared through the glass, a new determination settling in his chest. The threat was bigger, deeper, and more dangerous than he had imagined. He had to find another way to expose the truth, one that wouldn't push a frightened young man beyond his breaking point. As Elon turned away, his mind raced with new plans, strategies rapidly forming. Whatever it took, he would uncover the force behind the shadows, even if it meant confronting threats he couldn't yet comprehend. The investigation led Elon Musk and his security team to Nova's secret apartment, hidden deep within a seemingly ordinary neighborhood. The door had been breached, hanging precariously off its hinges. Inside, the scene was chaotic, furniture overturned, papers scattered, and electronic equipment smashed beyond recognition. A high-end laptop lay on the floor, destroyed and still smoking, a faint trail of acrid smoke spiraling upward. Elon observed the live drone footage remotely from SpaceX headquarters, his face impassive, but his eyes narrowed in intense concentration. He wore his usual black SpaceX shirt beneath an unbuttoned suit jacket, a subtle sign of a night spent awake, analyzing new threats. Though physically distant, he felt an unsettling presence, as if Nova's actions had been deliberately staged to communicate directly with him. Investigators moved carefully through the scene, cautious not to disturb potential evidence. One technician, holding a specialized tablet, directed a drone to begin a detailed laser scan of the entire apartment. A grid of bright green lines projected from the drone, mapping every detail in precise 3D imagery, recording even the smallest fragments of data that might reveal Nova's intentions. Elon's eyes darted to a corner of the screen, noticing a faint detail previously overlooked, a handwritten note pinned underneath a broken lamp. As the drone focused in, Elon's jaw tightened slightly. The note simply read, "You're predictable, Elon." A chill ran through him, a rare sensation of vulnerability. It wasn't just the realization that Nova had anticipated each of his moves. It was the unmistakable sense that she was challenging him personally, turning their cyber conflict into something far more dangerous and intimate. "Sir, we found something else." The lead investigator's voice crackled through the secure line. The drone shifted to reveal a hidden camera mounted discreetly within a ceiling fixture. It was deliberately placed to capture everything, and it was still active. "Pull the footage immediately," Elon instructed sharply, his mind racing to connect dots in an increasingly complex web. How long had Nova been monitoring everyone, including him? Almost immediately, a direct message pinged onto Elon's encrypted terminal at SpaceX. His pulse quickened slightly as he read the encrypted communication. "Checkmate, Elon, but the game isn't over yet." The room around him seemed colder as Elon processed the implication. Nova wasn't just a hacker or strategist. She had positioned herself several moves ahead, forcing him into a game he hadn't realized he'd been playing. As the drone continued its methodical analysis, Elon took a deep breath, regaining his composure. If Nova thought she had him cornered, she underestimated him. This confrontation had become more than just a security breach. It was now deeply personal, and Elon was determined not only to find Nova, but to uncover exactly who she was working with and why she had targeted him specifically. "Deploy additional security drones," he commanded. "Track every possible route from that apartment. We need her found now." The silent acknowledgement came swiftly from his team. As Elon sat back, eyes intense and calculating, the enormity of this personal threat hung heavily in the air, setting the stage for a battle far more complex than he'd initially imagined. Elon Musk adjusted his dark-tailored suit as he stepped into the secure, soundproofed conference room nestled within a discreet, high-security facility in Geneva. Soft LED lighting illuminated a circular table, around which international security representatives sat with grave expressions. Multiple national flags lined the walls, each a silent reminder of the global significance of this clandestine meeting. Elon's posture was firm, shoulders squared, eyes sharp and observant, fully aware of the magnitude of this moment. He opened his briefing folder, neatly organized with meticulously prepared dossiers, and activated a holographic presentation from a small, sleek remote in his hand. The air was thick with cautious anticipation. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elon began, his voice steady and authoritative, "we are dealing with an unprecedented threat, an entity capable of undermining national security at levels previously unimagined." Representatives shifted in their seats, exchanging uneasy glances. Elon noticed their expressions, some skeptical, others visibly concerned. A high-ranking French delegate cleared his throat, leaning forward intently. "Mr. Musk, your technology is impressive," the French representative said carefully. "But how certain are you of its integrity? We've received intelligence suggesting there might be an internal vulnerability within your organization." A tense silence descended. Elon maintained his composure, though internally his mind raced. He knew trust was a fragile commodity in this room. "Your concerns are justified," Elon responded smoothly, meeting each delegate's gaze in turn. "No organization is immune from infiltration, but let me assure you, every precaution is in place, every member vetted, and every system secured with the most advanced quantum encryption currently available." At a subtle nod from Elon, a technician activated the room's cutting-edge security system. A quiet hum filled the space, signaling the activation of the anti-eavesdropping measures, and small LED indicators switched to green. The German representative, a stern woman in her mid-50s known for her no-nonsense demeanor, leaned in closer, narrowing her eyes slightly. "What exactly are you proposing, Mr. Musk?" Elon stood straighter, the weight of his proposal evident in his deliberate tone. "A strategic alliance, complete transparency, mutual data-sharing protocols, and a united cyber defense task force. This is no longer about corporate espionage. This is about global stability." The delegates exchanged meaningful looks, processing the gravity of Elon's words. An older British official removed his glasses, rubbing his eyes wearily. "You're asking us to place a great deal of trust in your hands," the British delegate said slowly. "Not just in mine," Elon clarified immediately. This alliance would function through joint oversight, open channels, shared technology, and continuous monitoring. A new era of cybersecurity collaboration. A silence fell again, each official contemplating the implications. Finally, the American delegate spoke, his tone resolute yet measured. If we agree to this, Mr. Musk, there will be no turning back. Are you prepared for that responsibility? Elon's expression remained calm, his eyes unwavering. I've never been more certain. Across the table, heads nodded slowly, signaling tentative agreement. The tension eased just slightly, replaced by a collective resolve to face the threat head-on. Outside, unseen, satellites aligned in synchronous orbit, quantum encryption streams locked into secure channels, marking the beginning of a global cyber alliance unlike anything the world had seen before. Elon Musk stepped into SpaceX's hidden research facility, a sleek, ultra-modern room buzzing softly with the hum of powerful servers and processors. Massive screens covered the walls, displaying streams of intricate data and complex algorithms constantly updating themselves. At the center was an immense holographic display, projecting real-time visualizations of an advanced artificial intelligence system, codenamed Starlight. Elon paused briefly, taking in the scene with a mixture of pride and careful apprehension. The team of engineers, clad in crisp SpaceX uniforms emblazoned with the company's insignia, worked energetically, eyes darting between screens and keyboards. Despite their excitement, a tense undercurrent of worry was palpable. They knew they were pushing the boundaries of technology into unknown territory. Status update, Elon commanded softly, his voice calm yet carrying authority. Initiating final test run, sir, replied one of the lead engineers, her fingers moving swiftly over the keyboard. Elon watched the holographic AI visualization come alive, nodes of neural networks forming intricate patterns, pulsing gently as the system analyzed hypothetical cyber threats. He felt a wave of determination coupled with the nagging anxiety of potential ramifications. This technology, in the wrong hands, could become devastatingly dangerous. Suddenly, a sharp alarm pierced the silence, lights shifting to a harsh red. Intrusion detected! This isn't a simulation, another engineer shouted, his voice edged with panic. Elon's eyes narrowed sharply, adrenaline flooding his system. The AI's hologram rapidly shifted its patterns, adapting instantaneously. It pinpointed multiple threats, swiftly isolating and neutralizing intrusion attempts in seconds, showcasing intelligence beyond their wildest expectations. Remarkable, Elon murmured, stepping closer, his apprehension momentarily overtaken by awe at the AI's swift and precise reactions. The engineers exchanged astonished glances, realization dawning. Operation Starlight was no longer just a theoretical safeguard. It was already active, protecting SpaceX from threats more sophisticated than they had imagined. Elon Musk sat alone in his workspace, the dim, ghostly glow from the array of screens casting long shadows across his desk. It was past midnight, the hum of distant machinery at SpaceX headquarters barely perceptible. The office, usually a sanctuary of control and precision, now felt cold and unwelcoming. He had been scanning through security reports when suddenly a small alert popped up, different from anything he'd seen before. Musk leaned in closer, eyes narrowing as he clicked on the notification. Instantly, his screen turned black, a single line of white text slowly typing itself out. "Did you think you were the only one watching, Elon?" He felt his breath catch, eyes widening slightly as adrenaline surged through his veins. The quiet hum of the room seemed deafening now. Musk's fingers froze over the keyboard, the cursor blinking silently at the end of the cryptic message. Another line appeared. "I see you're still at your desk. Second floor, corner office, overlooking the assembly line. Impressive, isn't it?" His heart quickened, an unfamiliar sensation of genuine unease creeping up his spine. For the first time in a long while, Musk felt exposed, vulnerable. The game had changed. He was no longer the only player controlling the board. Quickly, his fingers resumed typing, initiating an advanced trace program designed to pinpoint the source of the intrusion. The AI-driven security tool visualized its progress in a complex web of data pathways, but suddenly it halted, glitching unnaturally, lines of code stuttering and collapsing on themselves. Trace unsuccessful. Source unidentifiable, the system announced flatly. Elon stared at the failed trace, a cold realization dawning. Whoever was behind this had access to technologies he hadn't yet encountered, possibly even superior to his own. He exhaled slowly, trying to steady his mind against the rising tide of uncertainty. Another message appeared, short and chilling. "Sleep well, Elon. I'll be in touch." He sat back, mind racing, the shadows around him suddenly deeper and darker than before. Musk realized that the true test of his security and resolve had only just begun. Inside SpaceX's cybersecurity command center, tension was palpable. Engineers frantically typed, their faces lit by screens flashing urgent alerts. Elon stood at the center, voice sharp yet controlled, eyes intensely focused. Suddenly, a red alert appeared. Someone had breached Elon's personal computer. Elon's face hardened instantly. "Show me," he demanded, approaching the monitor. His own desktop appeared, files rapidly scanned by an unknown hacker. "Activate biometric defense protocols," Elon ordered firmly. The advanced AI immediately analyzed behavioral patterns and identified the intrusion. Yet the hacker quickly adapted, bypassing countermeasures effortlessly. Then, the screen froze. A message slowly appeared. "Hello, Elon. Ready to face the truth?" The room fell silent. Elon stared coldly at the message, realizing for the first time that he faced an adversary as formidable as himself. Elon sat motionless in his office, the only illumination coming from his phone, casting sharp shadows across his tense face. His jaw clenched subtly, teeth pressing tightly together, betraying a rare, simmering anger beneath his typically calm demeanor. The screen displayed a single, unread message from Nova. He hesitated only briefly before opening it, heart pounding slightly faster, something he hadn't felt in a long while. Suddenly, a video began playing automatically, overriding his device's security protocols in a disturbing display of technical mastery. Nova's familiar face appeared, her piercing green eyes staring straight into his. She wore a slight, mocking smile, calmly rotating a small SpaceX data drive between her fingers. A drive Elon instantly recognized as authentic. He felt a chill travel down his spine, the icy realization hitting him hard. "Hello, Elon." Nova's voice purred, calm and dangerously confident. "You underestimated me. You thought you knew all the moves in this game, but you've grown arrogant. I've seen more than you could possibly imagine." Elon's grip on his phone tightened, knuckles whitening. She continued, leaning closer to the camera, her eyes narrowing with unmistakable malice. "Your precious secrets? They aren't as safe as you think. Mars colonization plans, propulsion breakthroughs, even your most personal data. I've touched it all." Nova paused deliberately, savoring the moment, letting the weight of her words hang in the air. Her voice dropped lower, more threatening. "I told you once, you aren't the only one watching." The video abruptly cut to black, leaving Elon staring into his own reflection, eyes wide with anger and disbelief. Immediately, his phone's screen flashed red, automatically activating its maximum security mode, blocking any further attempts at intrusion. He exhaled slowly, deliberately controlling the storm of emotions within him. Nova hadn't just challenged his technology or his company, she had challenged him personally, exploiting his confidence and pride. With steely resolve settling back into his eyes, Elon knew the stakes had just risen dramatically. This was more than business. It had become deeply personal. Elon stood silently on the highest platform of the Starship Assembly Tower, hands resting on the cool metal railing. Below him, the massive SpaceX facility stretched into the darkness, illuminated only by distant lights that blinked rhythmically, like scattered stars against the black horizon. The night air felt crisp and heavy, carrying the weight of the challenges he knew awaited him. His expression was calm yet unyielding. His gaze was locked on the vast sky above, reflecting an unwavering resolve. He wasn't simply preparing for another battle against a lone hacker. He understood now that Nova was just the tip of an iceberg, representing forces determined to manipulate the very future he was striving to build. A notification vibrated urgently in his pocket, breaking his contemplation. Elon glanced briefly at his phone, his jaw tightening as he read the message. Nova has secured new allies. Blue Horizon confirmed involved. Threat level escalated. He exhaled slowly, his breath visible in the cool night air as a ripple of tension coursed through him. The stakes had just escalated dramatically. It wasn't just personal anymore. It was existential. Turning back towards the command center, Elon walked swiftly, determined. Inside, a team of engineers awaited him, surrounded by monitors displaying predictive simulations powered by a cutting-edge strategic forecasting AI. Advanced algorithms rapidly analyzed thousands of potential outcomes, calculating every scenario with clinical precision. "Prepare for all eventualities," Elon instructed firmly, voice sharp and clear. "They've chosen their side. It's time we remind them exactly who they're challenging." The AI screens illuminated, rapidly running complex strategic scenarios, visualizing enemy tactics and potential countermeasures. Elon's eyes narrowed, absorbing every detail. He knew the next battle wouldn't be fought on just one front. It would demand every ounce of innovation, strategy, and determination SpaceX possessed. With renewed intensity, Elon stepped forward into the circle of waiting engineers, readying himself for what he knew would be the most critical confrontation of his life. Elon Musk stood at the center of SpaceX's ultra-secure command bunker, deep beneath the California desert. The room was a fortress, protected by reinforced steel walls several feet thick and coated in matte black anti-magnetic paint. Massive LED screens stretched from floor to ceiling, displaying intricate real-time 3D schematics of global security threats, each red blip pulsing urgently as new attacks surged. Elon was clad in a sleek black technological suit, embedded with biometric sensors that fed directly into SpaceX's defensive AI network. His breathing remained controlled, each inhale deliberate, a strategy to steady nerves under immense pressure. His eyes were sharp, steely, unwavering, yet his fingers tightened unconsciously, betraying an undercurrent of tension beneath his outward calm. Suddenly, the largest central screen flickered, replaced by a live video feed. Nova. She appeared calm, almost amused, wearing a black leather jacket, her dark hair meticulously pulled back, enhancing the intensity of her piercing gaze. A faint, sardonic smile crossed her lips as she spoke, her voice dripping with chilling confidence. "Surprised to see me again, Elon?" Elon felt a fleeting chill, but quickly steadied himself. "Not surprised," he answered coolly. "Just disappointed." Nova's smile widened, unaffected by his remark. "You're too predictable, Elon. Your arrogance has always been your weakness." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the bunker. The screens rapidly updated, displaying simultaneous cyber attacks unfolding from multiple international vectors. Elon's heart accelerated, his calm veneer momentarily cracked, his jaw tightening at the scale of the threat. Each incoming attack was unique, sophisticated, clearly orchestrated by Nova's newfound alliances. "Sir, multiple breaches detected," an engineer reported urgently. "I predicts severe damage if we don't fully deploy defenses now." Elon hesitated. Fully deploying defenses meant exposing SpaceX's most confidential and advanced cybersecurity technology, potentially compromising their strategic advantage. "What's the matter, Elon?" Nova mocked through the video feed, her voice cutting through the cacophony. "Afraid your precious secrets might leak?" Ignoring her taunts, Elon rapidly assessed the options displayed on his suit's augmented interface. Each second felt heavier, the pressure mounting as the countdown timer ticked relentlessly downward. "Deploy Phase 1 defensive protocols," Elon ordered decisively. "Keep advanced countermeasures offline. We contain. We adapt." The screens immediately visualized the AI defense mechanism in action, a sophisticated neural network, dynamically learning from each attempted breach. Streams of digital data flowed like veins, shifting and evolving to counteract threats in real time. "Impressive," Nova conceded dryly, observing remotely, but futile. Another alarm sounded. An internal breach. Elon's pulse quickened. Someone had penetrated the outer perimeter of SpaceX's mainframe. Nova's eyes glittered with satisfaction as she whispered, "Checkmate." But Elon steadied himself again, determination hardening his features. "This game isn't over," he retorted quietly but firmly, instructing the AI system to isolate and analyze the internal threat. The AI immediately sprang to action, visually tracing the intrusion's path on the screens, showcasing a brilliant, adaptive response to the unforeseen vulnerability. Nova's confidence faltered momentarily, her brow furrowing slightly. Elon noticed this brief flicker and pressed his advantage. "Did you really think you were the only one with surprises?" Nova's expression hardened again, her smile vanishing entirely. "You underestimate how far I'm willing to go." "And you underestimate how far we've prepared," Elon replied calmly, regaining full control. "Activate Countermeasure Omega." Instantly, the entire command center shifted, screens shimmering with a new wave of defensive maneuvers. The neural network adapted seamlessly, actively neutralizing threats, sealing breaches, and rebuilding firewalls at unprecedented speed. Nova's feed abruptly glitched, her confident image distorted by interference. Her eyes widened in genuine shock as Elon watched impassively. "Impossible," she whispered, her confidence shattered. "Welcome to the future," Elon stated plainly, his voice cold yet triumphant as the video feed collapsed entirely. The alarms ceased. Silence fell over the bunker, broken only by the gentle hum of cooling systems and the relieved sighs of the security team. Elon exhaled deeply, relaxing his grip, aware he had won this battle, but equally aware that the war for innovation, security, and humanity's future had only just begun. In a small, hidden security office outside the main SpaceX headquarters, dim lights barely illuminated the walls. The air was dense with the hum of servers, the occasional flicker of monitors casting pale blue shadows across the room. Elon stood rigidly, his eyes narrowed slightly as he watched the encrypted transmission unfolding before him, tension evident in the clenched muscles of his jaw. A silhouette slowly emerged from the shadows, stepping into the faint glow of a single monitor. The figure was neatly dressed, unobtrusive, yet distinctly poised. A navy blue blazer, dark jeans, subtle but sophisticated. His expression was composed, almost serene, yet a hint of enigma lingered in the steady gaze he offered Elon. Mr. Musk. He spoke softly, voice calm yet charged with understated urgency. I believe I can help you. Elon studied him skeptically, eyes sharp with suspicion. And why would I trust someone who appears from nowhere, exactly when my defenses are under siege? The man offered a faint smile, cryptic yet oddly reassuring. Because we share a common enemy, and time is not on our side. Elon's hesitation was evident, his mind rapidly weighing the potential risks against the desperate need for allies. Meanwhile, an alert flashed urgently on a monitor. A dangerous encrypted signal was now attempting to infiltrate the core security protocols of SpaceX itself. A countdown timer appeared, bright red numbers steadily declining, heightening the palpable tension. You have precisely 2 minutes to decide whether to trust me, the ally said calmly, gesturing toward the monitor. But know this, once that timer hits 0, your entire network could become irreversibly compromised. Elon's fists clenched briefly, anxiety battling instinct. He knew he had mere seconds to assess the stranger's intentions. Give me one good reason to trust you, Elon challenged sharply, never breaking eye contact. Without hesitation, the ally swiftly approached the console and keyed in a sequence of commands. The monitor's interface instantly shifted, revealing advanced decryption software Elon had never seen before. Real-time data surged across the display, complex waveforms and cryptographic hashes rapidly unraveling before his eyes. Because, the ally said firmly, his voice controlled yet charged with intensity. I'm the only one with the technology capable of decoding this threat in real time. Elon watched, momentarily captivated by the sophistication and speed of the decryption technology on display. Yet suspicion still lingered. And how do I know this isn't just another trap? The ally met his gaze steadily, voice unwavering. Because, Mr. Musk, your adversary is my adversary. Nova has crossed lines far beyond corporate espionage. She threatens stability on a scale you have yet to fully comprehend. Elon exhaled slowly, tension visibly easing from his shoulders as he reluctantly nodded. Then do it. Neutralize this threat. Fingers flying expertly across the keyboard, the mysterious ally initiated the final stage of decoding. Streams of encrypted data unraveled swiftly on screen, visualized in intricate 3D patterns. Elon's pulse quickened as the countdown hit the final 10 seconds. In a sudden burst of clarity, the malicious signal fractured and disintegrated into harmless fragments. The timer froze at exactly 3 seconds remaining. Elon's expression shifted subtly, skepticism replaced by a cautious sense of gratitude. Turning to face his unexpected partner, Elon's voice carried quiet strength and a hint of wary trust. It seems I owe you my thanks. The ally stepped back into the shadows slightly, his enigmatic smile returning. Don't thank me yet. Our battle has only just begun. Elon nodded solemnly, fully grasping the gravity of their new alliance. The lines had been redrawn, uncertain yet vital. Together, they would now face the looming threat poised to destroy everything Elon had built. Inside SpaceX's main command center, an atmosphere of intense urgency filled the air. Dozens of cybersecurity specialists and engineers moved swiftly between sleek rows of monitors, their rapid footsteps echoing alongside the rhythmic click of keyboards and urgent, hushed exchanges. Digital screens pulsated with real-time data streams, each screen reflecting a relentless struggle to maintain the upper hand against an enemy who, until recently, had seemed invincible. At the heart of the chaos stood Elon Musk. His posture was straighter, more confident than it had been in days. The earlier shadows of doubt had vanished from his eyes, replaced by a renewed clarity and strategic sharpness. Wearing a tailored dark suit, his sleeves rolled up just above his wrists, Elon scanned the room with a determined intensity. A subtle smile emerged. the kind of calm confidence that often preceded his greatest victories. On the primary monitor, a live video link displayed Nova, her usually composed facade now showing its first cracks. Her eyes flickered anxiously between screens, a subtle tightening at the corner of her lips betraying the uncertainty creeping in. "Having trouble, Nova?" Elon asked smoothly, his voice steady yet edged with quiet triumph. "You seem unusually distracted." Nova's lips pressed into a thin line, a brief flash of irritation passing across her features. For the first time, her calm arrogance faltered, replaced by a hint of genuine concern. "Enjoy your little victory, Elon," she retorted bitterly, fighting to regain control. "It won't last." Elon allowed himself a brief chuckle, confidently turning to his team. "Initiate the countermeasure protocol. Let's show her what a real trap looks like." Across the command center, screens sprang to life as SpaceX's advanced AI defense system activated, a state-of-the-art adaptive response protocol built on deep learning technology. On screen, intricate visualizations of code adjusted in real time, continuously shifting strategies to counter Nova's every attempt at infiltration. Each new tactic the hacker deployed was immediately recognized, dissected, and neutralized faster than any human could respond. Nova watched in mounting disbelief as the tables swiftly turned. Every pathway she opened, every digital trick she employed, became a new vulnerability, leading the AI defense straight back to her. A flashing red alert on her screen made her eyes widen involuntarily, her fingers trembling slightly as the realization struck. She had inadvertently exposed her own secure location. Elon stepped closer to the camera, his expression composed but stern. "Game over, Nova. You underestimated how quickly the hunter can become the hunted." Nova's eyes narrowed sharply, frustration mixing with genuine fear. She cut the feed abruptly, leaving only static behind. Silence momentarily filled the command center. A wave of relief washed across the room, technicians exchanging brief, victorious glances. Elon exhaled slowly, allowing himself a second of satisfaction. But his eyes quickly hardened again, knowing this was only a single victory in a much larger war. He straightened his jacket, turning back toward his team with resolve. "We have her location. Prepare the next phase immediately. This battle may be ours, but the war isn't over yet." The team immediately surged back into action, galvanized by Elon's renewed confidence and their first decisive triumph. The hidden apartment Nova had meticulously kept secret erupted into chaos as international special forces stormed through the reinforced doors, their tactical flashlights cutting harsh beams across the darkened room. Screens shattered and toppled underfoot. Fragments of glass scattered over tangled cables and overturned furniture. The final encrypted signal flickered erratically on Nova's main device, its glow illuminating the disarrayed space like a haunting digital ghost. In the center of this turmoil stood Nova, her dark trenchcoat draped around her defiantly. Her eyes flashed with stubborn pride, jaw set in an uncompromising line, masking the deep strain etched on her features. Even as multiple agents swiftly closed in, weapons trained, Nova refused to show weakness, her chin lifted slightly, maintaining her arrogance even as defeat loomed inevitably. One agent barked sharply, "Hands behind your head now!" But Nova's eyes narrowed in defiance, fingers twitching almost imperceptibly toward a concealed control pad at her sleeve. From thousands of miles away, Elon watched the live surveillance feed in the secure command room of SpaceX. Satisfaction briefly crossed his face, mixed strangely with a fleeting shadow of empathy. Seeing Nova's defiant stance, Elon felt an unexpected pang of respect and mild regret for the brilliant mind that had chosen the wrong side. Back in the apartment, Nova's controlled expression wavered slightly as the agents restrained her wrists, locking them into digital security cuffs. For the first time, genuine anger and frustration flashed through her eyes, giving way to a sudden realization of vulnerability and failure. Yet even in this moment of capture, her pride burned brightly. Suddenly, alarms burst forth on every surviving device in the apartment. A shrill, piercing digital wail. The fragmented screens pulsed red in unison, signaling the activation of Nova's final trap. A virtual digital bomb, rapidly counting down to the complete destruction of SpaceX's critical archives. Nova's lips curled into a bitter, defiant smirk. "Too late," she whispered, savoring one final act of revenge. Inside SpaceX headquarters, panic momentarily filled the command center. Elon's heartbeat accelerated briefly before steady resolve returned. He immediately ordered, "Deploy the quantum neutralizer. Shut it down, now." Within seconds, the SpaceX cybersecurity team activated an advanced digital bomb diffusing device based on quantum computing technology. The central monitor displayed rapidly shifting visualizations, a kaleidoscope of colors, as the quantum neutralizer meticulously dissected and disabled the destructive code. The tension in the room was palpable, engineers holding their breath, eyes locked on the screens as the countdown dwindled dangerously close to zero. Finally, the alarm ceased. The threat indicator flashed green, and a collective sigh filled the command center. The digital bomb had been defused, SpaceX's precious data safely preserved. In her ruined apartment, Nova's expression darkened as she heard confirmation through the agent's radios that her final strike had failed. The last flicker of arrogance faded, replaced by bitter resignation. Elon, observing silently from afar, exhaled slowly. His eyes carried a mixture of victory and melancholy. He had won, but victory had never tasted so complicated. Early morning sunlight gently streamed through the expansive glass windows of Elon Musk's private office at SpaceX, bathing the minimalist space in a warm, golden glow. The room, usually buzzing with intense activity, now held an atmosphere of quiet contemplation. A subtle stillness permeated the air, punctuated only by distant murmurs from early shift employees beginning their day. Elon sat alone at his desk, dressed casually in a simple black t-shirt and jeans, a stark contrast to his recent intense presence during the crisis. He reclined slightly in his chair, fingers steepled thoughtfully beneath his chin. Though visibly more relaxed, traces of tension lingered behind his eyes, a reflection of the heavy responsibility he bore. His gaze was distant, introspective, as he replayed recent events, each choice and consequence carefully weighed in his mind. The crisis with Nova had ended, but a deeper unease still gnawed at him. Elon knew that the immense power of the AI-driven security system he'd unleashed carried with it ethical implications he could no longer ignore. He wondered silently whether, in his determination to protect his vision and company, he had inadvertently crossed lines he had sworn to respect. Was there a limit to the pursuit of safety and innovation? Did the ends truly justify every means? Suddenly, his phone vibrated quietly on the polished desktop, breaking his reflective solitude. Elon reached for it slowly, sensing instinctively that the message carried weight. The sender was anonymous, yet he knew immediately who it was. The words flashed ominously. "You think you've won, Elon, but Nova was only the beginning. We're watching. The game never ends." His pulse quickened momentarily, then steadied as he reread the cryptic warning. Elon leaned back again, exhaling a slow, measured breath. The realization was clear. This battle was merely one victory in a far broader and more complex war. Stronger adversaries lurked unseen, and he understood now, more clearly than ever, that vigilance would have to become constant, proactive rather than reactive. Resolutely, Elon turned to his computer, activating a secure channel that immediately filled his screen with sophisticated AI-driven schematics and algorithmic projections. It was time to evolve, to anticipate threats long before they emerged. He began laying the groundwork for a new, proactive cybersecurity initiative, built around AI systems capable of predicting and neutralizing cyber threats before they could even begin. Elon's expression firmed with determination. The future demanded more than reaction. It required foresight, responsibility, and humility. As the sunlight rose higher, casting clear shadows across the room, Elon knew his fight had only just begun. The vast conference hall at SpaceX headquarters buzzed with excitement and anticipation, illuminated by sleek, futuristic LED screens displaying vibrant graphics and dynamic visuals. Hundreds of journalists, tech enthusiasts, and industry leaders filled the venue, their voices mingling into an electric hum. Cameras flashed periodically, capturing every detail of this highly anticipated event. Elon Musk took a confident stride onto the elevated stage, exuding authority and quiet charisma. He wore a sharp, tailored black suit and open-collared white shirt, projecting both approachability and professionalism. His posture was tall and resolute, his eyes bright and focused, radiating a sense of hope, determination, and renewed purpose. The challenges he'd recently faced had strengthened him, shaping his resolve in a way visible to all who watched. As Elon reached the podium, the room fell instantly silent, awaiting his words. He looked around briefly, establishing genuine eye contact with his audience, then began to speak with clarity and conviction. Today marks a new chapter, not just for SpaceX, but for all of us who believe in technology as a force for good. The threats we've faced taught us powerful lessons about responsibility and vigilance. We've emerged stronger, wiser, and more prepared. I'm here to introduce a revolutionary new system, a global cybersecurity AI capable of proactively identifying and neutralizing cyber threats before they even begin. Behind him, the massive LED screens came to life, projecting intricate visualizations of the new AI at work. Streams of data and complex algorithms flowing seamlessly, highlighting real-time threat detection and predictive analytics. The technology was groundbreaking, a step beyond anything previously seen, illustrating a powerful blend of innovation and ethical responsibility. The audience was captivated, yet amidst the enthusiasm, a journalist stood up, microphone in hand, posing a question that cut straight to the heart of the matter. Mr. Musk, given recent events, how can we trust that such powerful AI technology won't become dangerous itself? Where do you personally draw the ethical lines when deploying this kind of capability? A hush fell over the room. Elon paused thoughtfully, then leaned forward slightly, addressing the journalist directly and sincerely. It's an essential question, one we must never stop asking ourselves. Power without accountability is dangerous. SpaceX's mission has always been clear: to use innovation not merely to push boundaries, but to safeguard our shared future. This AI was built with ethical checks embedded in its very core: transparency, oversight, and the unwavering commitment to protect humanity above all else. I assure you, the moment we lose sight of our core values is the moment we stop innovating. A ripple of approving murmurs and applause spread through the crowd. Elon nodded appreciatively, stepping back slightly to allow the screens behind him to illustrate the real-time effectiveness of the new AI system, a sophisticated visualization displaying predictive analytics and real-time threat prevention across the globe. As the room erupted in applause, Elon felt a profound sense of pride mixed with humility. The path ahead was clear, but never easy, and he knew the responsibility now rested squarely on his shoulders. Yet, for the first time in months, he felt truly ready, not simply to react, but to lead, to anticipate, and to protect the very future he was committed to building.